The Office of Policy at EPA plays a crucial role in promoting sustainability. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Let me talk about two areas where we do that. One is we house the Office of Sustainable Communities at EPA, which really has a leadership role in helping to provide advice and assistance to communities across the country that want to chart a course of economic growth that's more environmentally sustainable. And we help coordinate across the federal family and across EPA on that type of work. The other area where we've been very active is in engaging with businesses and other stakeholders on the sustainability front, and sustainable purchasing is one area in particular where we're really looking to strengthen that partnership in service of sustainability.
So this is not about enforcement or compliance. This is about getting together with local communities and talking about best practices that new communities could adapt.
It's amazing the incredible demand for this work across the country. So many communities are invested in getting EPA's technical support in thinking about how they can grow themselves in the way that they want to, in a way that improves environmental quality while supporting economic development.
So let's talk a little bit about procurement, because I understand there's some new work in progress around procurement and guidelines for sustainability on procurement.
Absolutely. This is an incredibly exciting area, Tim. So the agency actually has a really interesting history of work in the labeling and certification area. We've had a number of really successful programs like Energy Star, for example, that helps consumers to identify what are the smart products to buy, which are the ones that save energy and, of course, have great environmental benefits. So that's a program that's saved consumers over $300 billion in energy savings since the program began. We have similar programs for water efficiency called WaterSense. We have a program called Safer Choice that helps consumers identify products that are made with safer chemicals. So now we're really trying to take this effort to the next level in thinking about sustainable purchasing. What are the purchasing decisions of the largest entities in our economy? So the federal government, state governments, universities, hospitals, Fortune 500 companies. And this is incredibly important because these entities spend trillions of dollars a year. The federal government spends probably on the order of $400 billion a year on goods and services. And about 3/4 of the carbon footprint of these entities is really embedded in the supply chain. It's the goods and services that they're purchasing. So EPA is now working with partners across the federal government to help look at how we can reduce that carbon footprint and make more sustainable choices across that whole spend.
So let's talk a little bit about Paris. Big discussions coming up, a lot of hopes there. Could you just comment on what success looks like to you sort of coming out of those discussions? How should we understand that?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that we know what all those talks are going to entail, and I think they're still coming into focus. I think from an EPA perspective, what I can say is that we're extremely proud and excited about the progress that the United States is making in showing leadership on reducing carbon emissions. So during this administration, we've really made some dramatic steps forward in reducing carbon pollution from cars and trucks. We're taking action now on power plants, which are the largest single source of carbon emissions here in the U.S. And we feel really strongly that U.S. leadership in this area sets the right foundation for the international dialogue here. So we're already seeing other nations stepping up as well. There have been recent joint announcements between the U.S. and China and the U.S. and Brazil. So we're very optimistic.
How critical is U.S. leadership for success there?
I think it's absolutely essential. I mean, we really have been the innovator in the pollution control sphere. We are looked to for both technology and business innovation. And so I think the willingness that we've shown to tackle this problem and really reduce carbon emissions in a way that's completely consistent with economic growth and leadership, and in fact supports it, I think shows exactly the right signal to the rest of the world.
So Joel, what keeps you up at night?
Well, my kids is one thing. Yeah. So I have 4 children, aged 5 to 13, and sometimes they literally keep me up at night. But like all parents, I really want to see them grow up in a world that's every bit as safe and as beautiful as the one I grew up in. I want that for their children and their children's children. I also think actually about communities that I worked with when I graduated college. My first job out of college was working in Central America with some of the poorest countries in the hemisphere. And these are communities and people that are extremely vulnerable to the effects of environmental degradation and of climate change. And I think we really have a strong moral obligation to address these challenges and to help protect these low-income communities, both here in the U.S. and abroad. So how we're going to meet that challenge is something that keeps me up at night. But at the same time, the good news is we have actually made an incredible amount of progress recently, and we really have opportunities. There are technologies that are available to us now that can help us grow our economy while at the same time tackling this challenge.